Hey, folks, welcome to Grab a Stack of Rock and 50 Years of Iron Maiden with our returning special guest, Mr. Jex Russell. And you can see he's even wearing a hood, just like Eddie. Just like Eddie. Jex, your first time back on the show since like summer.
Yeah, yeah, since the mental health
Yeah.
episode.
And Henry in the house, as always. Henry is like the fourth member of the crew each night. And Harrison, good to see you, my friend, as always. Or just don't say anything. Anyway.
Oh, that was a statement, not a question.
Yes, I suppose it was. Jex is back and he told you so. And the reason that Jex picked this album, Death on the Road, episode 28, by the way, is because Jex is like one of the only people, maybe like the only person I know who owns this DVD. And I think he's frozen. Oh, there
I'm back.
is. He's one of the only people, if not the only person, that owns this on DVD. But you have two different versions. So this is going to be very interesting. Jex, I wanted to start just by asking you a quick question. How did you acquire that majesty in your hands right now?
Luck.
Because it's rare. It's rare.
I was at a video store. I was visiting my hometown, visiting my parents, and I would always visit this video store called Cine Video. My buddy Lucas worked there, so I was just looking at the previously viewed movies, and not too much was popping out. And I just saw the spine is kind of faded.
Yeah.
So I almost looked past it, but then I saw Iron Maiden. I'm like, what? So I took it out.
Nice.
So I took it out, took a look. I'm like, wait a minute, this looks cool. And I can't remember. This is like 9 years ago. Can't remember how much I paid for it, but if I had to guess, it would be between $5 and $7. Previously viewed prices, right? So I snagged it, and I didn't know how rare it was till you guys told me last time I took it out on the show. So yeah, I'm glad I grabbed it.
Yeah, about 2 years ago, we did an episode here on Iron Maiden collections, and you showed up that night with Aaron Keeps Me Alive, and that was one of the things that you had that kind of surprised me. And hi, Mom.
Yes, the DVD has been out of print for a while for some reason. As Henry also did mention, there were technical issues. I believe one of the first issuings of the DVD because this is a weird DVD that has a 2.1 mix on one CD and then a 5.1 mix on the other CD. And apparently they were mislabeled. They were back to front.
Gotcha.
When they initially released. And were corrected on a later release. See, my copy is actually from all the way in 2007, so A Matter of Life and Death had been out by this point, by the time my version of the DVD actually came out.
Okay, well, that's an interesting fact, because I have some release dates and whatnot up here, and let's just run through the facts of the album before we talk about it in detail. Death on the Road was released on CD on the 29th of August, 2005, but the DVD didn't follow until the 6th of February, 2006. So alluding to these technical issues and the recall, I guess it would have had to be a full recall if they produced a batch like that. Harrison got his in 2007. Yours is an Australian printing?
Well, mine released in 2007. I don't think there was an Australia release. When I went to buy this, I specifically went on Discogs and I specifically looked for versions that come in the plastic case, because the majority of them are cardboard case. However, all my other Iron Maiden DVDs are plastic case, and there was no way as hell I was going to break that up. So I specifically bought a plastic case version, and there's some German writing on this, so I have to assume it's a European copy. It plays fine in my DVD player. But yeah.
So there was probably a release even 2 years after the album. But primarily, I'm going to be talking about the music tonight, because that's what I do. And this album is 94 minutes and 25 seconds in length, recorded at Westfalenhallen in Dortmund, Germany. The audio was produced by Kevin Caveman Shirley, as always, and the director of the video portion was Steve Harris. Now, interestingly enough, there's sort of like an unlisted opening track, which is an orchestral piece called Declamation by Chris Payne. And that's
it's actually listed on the DVD.
Aha! There you go. Interesting facts, and I am learning. So anyway, Declamation, Chris Payne opened, and
I think I've heard Declamation before somewhere else. If anyone knows where it was used.
Yes, please let us know in the comments. I definitely recognized it, but after this many years, I might have just recognized it from this. So let's get some comments real quick here. We have Marty in the house tonight. Hey, boss. And of course, Henry, there were a lot of rock shows. Yes, a lot of Dortmund. Yeah, for sure. And we've actually heard some other Dortmund tracks, back on the early days DVD that we did. All right. Well, let's start going through this track by track. One at a time. Jex Russell. We open with this Declamation, and then that goes into Wildest Dreams, which, by the way, is a new song that was not on Rock in Rio. Anytime we hit a song that wasn't on Rock in Rio, I will call it out. So, Jex, the opening duo here. Your thoughts?
Something I didn't mention. I haven't watched this since I bought it in 2017. I don't remember. I definitely watched it, but yes, I haven't been able to prepare for this, folks. So yeah, Declamation, can't place it. Sorry.
Wildest Dreams?
Nope.
You would be forgiven for having not watched it since the first time, as we'll get into when we actually discuss the DVD. It can be a bit of a painful watch at times. Not due to the performances, but the production.
Right.
All right. But you did listen to the album, right?
Well, from this.
You haven't listened to the album since then?
No. Audio-wise, I don't even have it audio. I only have this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You can see we got the right guy for this.
We did. All right. Well, Harrison, then you and I shall banter and Jex shall comment. We have Wildest Dreams.
Appropriate, I suppose.
Yeah. We have Wildest Dreams opening the set. New song, not on Rock in Rio. I found Bruce's voice a little bit rough, but I liked some of the guitar harmonics that appear later in the song that aren't really, I don't think they're on the album version, or if they are, I'm not hearing them, but they're very prominent on this live version. In short, I thought this was a pretty good live version, but Bruce's voice during this era can be a little, I don't know. It's not as bang on as it was on Rock in Rio, in my opinion.
Yeah, Wildest Dreams still doesn't do it much for me as a song. I do like it slightly better live, though. It's better with the crowd. The soloing section is still the best part of it for me. And I noticed similar things about Bruce. Yeah, yes. Basically, Rock in Rio was the end of the tour, so he had a bit of grit. Here, yeah, he still sounds great, and he's got some great high notes, as you'll hear when we get to later songs. But they're, on a song like Wildest Dreams, there just isn't the same gusto that there usually is.
Gotcha. Henry, come on, let's cut the guy some slack.
I was just asked to be here because I'm one of the few people who owns this.
This is true.
I'm here.
He is contractually obliged to be here. The saying goes.
I didn't really think ahead to this particular possibility, but we'll continue going because I'm sure Jex has some memories of some of these songs, like say Wrathchild, the Paul Di'Anno classic. This is track 2. Great live version. Not sure how different it is from the Rock in Rio version when you put them side by side, but Bruce sounds strong on this one, and there are lots of tasty guitar fills, and I love the pick scrapes. I just love those. And I think it's Yannick probably doing most of those. I did notice that Yannick in particular is on fire during the guitar solo sections on Wrathchild. How do you like that song, Jex, just in general?
Oh, well, Wrathchild, I love it. I love those Paul Di'Anno albums. And I do love hearing Bruce perform those Di'Anno tracks. I find he does them justice. Like some bands, when they change lineups, it can be kind of awkward. Like I think of Ronnie James Dio singing the Ozzy stuff for Black Sabbath. It's strange to me, because they have very different styles. They're great individually, but it's different. Whereas Bruce, when he sings the Di'Anno stuff, he knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, you're right. There is more of a similarity, I guess, between Bruce and Paul's type of singing than there is between Ronnie and Ozzy. I think that's a valid point. Harrison, Wrathchild.
Right, so the weird thing here is that we are going into Wrathchild, which is a classic track, instead of the 1-2 that we usually have become accustomed to from the album, rather than going straight into Rainmaker, or for example on Rock In Rio they went straight into Ghost of the Navigator. We're actually stepping away from Dance of Death for a couple of songs. So Wrathchild, there is some great soloing all over this track during the solo section and just all over the verses. It might be one of my favorite versions of Wrathchild for the soloing alone. The chorus is great, both from Bruce and the crowd. I really love his sort of like really high pitched "'Cause I'm a well, I'm a," and then Wrathchild, and so on and so forth. I think he can be a little uninteresting on the verses, but he makes the chorus work in his own style, and the crowd are there singing along.
Right. Then we get to a track that was not on Rock in Rio, surprisingly. Can I Play with Madness? And I noted that I thought it sounded better than the version from Donington, which I think was the last version of this that we reviewed.
Yes, Can I Play with Madness at this point hadn't been played since 1993.
Okay. The backing vocals are more solid on this one than Donington, and I'm guessing that's probably because Adrian is back on stage. But the guitar solo is a dual solo, and it sounds great. Can I Play with Madness, or Can I Play with Jex Russell? Do you have any thoughts about that particular Seventh Son of a Seventh Son classic?
I'm going to be like repeating myself, but because to me, hearing these songs played, no matter what setting, they always sound good. So I'm just going to keep saying, this sounded great. This was great. You know, going 8, almost 9 years in my memory. I just remember them sounding all really good.
He's not wrong.
Can't argue with the man. So yeah, first time since 1993, making this the first 3 guitar version of the song, and it sounds great. Steve and Adrian are really audible back there on the backing vocal, and there are also very audible keyboards going on, courtesy of one Michael Kenny, Steve's bass tech.
For the Trooper, I wrote, we've had a lot of versions of this song during this time period. This is one of them. I thought the solo was good. The dual solo was good. But at this point, all the songs are kind of like, we've heard a lot of live versions of the Trooper. I know Jex loves the Trooper. Jex is the Trooper. Harrison, your thoughts as well. And
yeah,
Harrison,
this is a
Jex,
solid version.
Pipe in anytime if you have a thought, and I'm just trying to. If you feel like I'm skipping over you,
No, I'm good. Go ahead. Like I'm out of practice here, so I just came here to be Vanna White, you know, and we're gonna dive into this because there's some goodies in here that we'll look at after the track.
Absolutely.
This is a solid version of the Trooper. The interesting thing about this one is Bruce is waving a flag, but he's not wearing the red coat uniform.
I thought that kind of comment was going to come from Roger. We have a lot of people here in the house tonight. We have Dan Chatron. We have Sydney from Slogans Rock and Metal Extravaganza. And of course, we have Marty. And Marty is always forgiving. Henry is always keeping the comment section going. One of the things that he likes about this series covering the post-2000 era is that he hasn't listened to many of these albums, studio and live, in a long time. And we love to give you the chance to revisit them. Okay, well, we're going to get to that song, so stay tuned. Again, I don't know what's going on here. It's like Roger was in the house. I don't know. We'll maybe address that.
Depends. If you accidentally put on the 5.1 disc when you're expecting stereo, the CD will definitely sound better.
We'll get to that when we get to the DVD. Okay, so we're going to just cut Sydney off now at this point. We're going to move on to the next song. Dance of Death, which is a new song, so it obviously was not on Rock in Rio. What I love about this one is when Bruce introduces it and he quotes Hamlet. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
I think it is a taped intro, though.
Is it?
There's some effect. Because there's some effects going on to his vocals.
Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's taped, because they can apply those effects.
He's also changing into a costume at this very moment.
Okay. Comments, perhaps, if anybody here knows if that is taped. I wrote that this is a faithful live version, retaining all of the drama of the original album version. I wrote that the album vocals are hard to beat, but these are still pretty solid. The solos are magnificent. We get Adrian, then Davey, then a dual solo, then Yannick, and then Adrian again. At least I think that's how it sounds to my ears. Either way, this is a top-notch version of Dance of Death. Bravo. There you go.
All right, so as you see on the DVD, Bruce comes out donning a cape and a sort of Venetian-style mask. He actually wears a mask, and then he has one on a stick that he puts in front of his face. And after the solos, he's changed into a Grim Reaper, and he's shuffling around on stage there, and then starts spinning, and his cape goes flying around in circles. He does the vocals a bit slightly different from the album take, but they're still good. The guitars sound phenomenal here all throughout. They're a little heavier than the album version. As you mentioned, the intro is a quote from Hamlet. And the thing that I noticed on the DVD, so the backdrop, the drapery that basically, you know, how Maiden have their backdrop, it's the Dance of Death cover art. But it's not just the Dance of Death cover art taken and slapped on the backdrop. It's not Death on Road, it's Dance of Death. It's, you know, the one with all the figures. It's actually been redrawn. And you can see that the style, it's a bit more like an illustrated pencil illustration. But the funny thing is, if you look closely, you can see that the baby's foot is no longer clipping in through the dog. Whoever did the art actually fixed that, and it looks proper now.
Oh, that always bugged me. And I brought that up during our Dance of Death episode.
Yeah, but I will take this time to discuss the DVD, because it is hard to see this for two reasons. One, as mentioned in the DVD, it was hard to film this tour because it was quite dark, because they wanted this moody atmospheric thing going on with the lighting. So it's hard to see a lot of like the cool castle stage set in the backdrop. The other reason is that Steve Harris himself, the man, edited this, and he edited it so that you get about like 3 cuts per second. It's like bang, 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 bang. People complained so much about this. They said they get a headache. They say it's disorienting. They're saying it's just not fun to watch, having it cut all the damn time. Like, yeah, after a little while, your eyes do sort of get used to it, but then you like, oh, think of something, your eyes flick away, and then you look back to the screen, and then, oh, here we go again. Bang, 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 bang. And like, there are some times when like it's a shot of Davey soloing, and then it cuts to a shot of Davey soloing from a slightly different angle, and then it cuts to another shot, and then there's a shot of Nico for half a second, and it's like, it is Rock In Rio cut pretty fast. This is like that to 11, and this directly influenced Steve's editing technique on the next DVD, which is a unique DVD in the Iron Maiden history.
Are you referring to Flight 666?
Oh, sorry, I'm an idiot. No, on Vivo, he did something a little different.
The most difficult thing for me going forward is that I don't have DVDs of anything past Flight 666.
Mike considers DVDs the second-class citizens of physical media.
I really do. It's never been like a huge priority of mine to collect video, because I just don't spend enough time watching video. I spend more time with it, like driving, working, that kind of thing. I just need it in my ears, and I don't need it in my eyes.
I love video, and there was this great joke where I'm like, you know, Mike, I really don't think we need to do the Essential Iron Maiden. It's really not that essential. Mike's, oh no, man, we got to do this. We absolutely have to cover the Essential Iron Maiden. I'm like, all right. Yep. And then I'm like, hey, Mike, hey, are we going to cover the early days DVD? And Mike's like, hemming. I'm like, oh, I don't know. It's in storage. And I'm like, there's exclusive music on this, man. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, you can watch it on YouTube. And he's like, I don't know. I want to do that. It's like, you know, we have to cover the Essential Iron Maiden. But this DVD, I talked him into the DVD at least.
You're so selective. You're so selective, Mike.
So what he said is a verbatim copy of our actual conversation that we had on Instagram. I'm kind of shocked and appalled at myself, but it's true that I don't own this DVD. It was very expensive when it came out. I think it was like $60 on Amazon, and I've always just prioritized the audio. And Jex, I'm curious, I think you probably are the same, that at least at this stage in your life, you listen to albums rather than watch video.
Yeah, well, especially when it comes to concerts, I find it hard. I can't just sit there and watch a concert. I get my attention can't, you know, I don't mind listening to the music, but I need to be doing something. And that kind of reminded me when Harrison was just speaking of the editing and how fast paced it was. That reminded me, it's like, oh yeah, when I popped this in 2017, I was working out while I was playing. So I wasn't really watching the video. I was listening and really enjoying. That's why in my mind's like, oh, it was really good because the audio was clean. It was really, I remember, great audio quality. But as for the video, I'm like, oh yeah, I wasn't really watching. I was working out. So yeah, I just kind of I'm gonna have to check it out now because I'm curious of that Steve Harris editing magic, if you want to call it that.
So there's like a whole conversation going on here in the side.
See, they're not watching us either. They're doing
No,
their own thing.
they're not watching us either. But there's one here that I did want to put on the screen. Where is it? There it is. Sid's lousy YouTube channel. Yeah, I agree with that part, Dan. But yeah, check out Dan on Off the Charts. Off the Charts. I wore his shirt a couple of days ago. If you're on my Instagram, you can see that. Okay, so back to the tracks. We left off with Dance of Death, and now we're on to another new song. So not from Rock in Rio, but we have Rainmaker, which I wrote. It feels like a real kick in the set list after all of that drama with Dance of Death. This one just kicks. We're just back to a Maiden rocker. Back to Speed and Might is what I wrote. A top-notch live performance of the single. Now, this track, like Harrison said, is the second track of Dance of Death. And to me, it really does feel like it naturally should be in that slot on the live album, much as they did with Ghost of the Navigator. So I was really pleased to hear Harrison bring that point up because I feel the same. I just didn't make a note of that. Having said that, I mean, it's fine coming out of Dance of Death. There's nothing wrong with that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a fine placement. It doesn't sound like out of place or bad here. It's just that we've just become so accustomed to the 1-2 opening salvo from Iron Maiden that going into Wrathchild would have been a surprise, even for the veteran fans in the audience. This is a good version of Rainmaker. The harmony section is still the best part. And as Jex had mentioned, it's phenomenal production on the DVD. It sounds great. I can hear all three guitars, one in the left, one in the right, one up the top during that harmony section. It's great.
And neither of you guys have a 5.1 setup, I don't think, do you?
Not anymore. No, I
Not
did with my
anymore.
previous setup. Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah, I would like to hear a good 5.1 mix of this, but perhaps another time. Brave New World. Now, I thought this was a really great version. Fans scream at the opening notes right away. Burr, 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 burr. The fans are just locked in. They're screaming and roaring. This is about equal to the Rock in Rio version to me. I think it's cool, though, that it's the only representation of that album because that means Harrison doesn't have to hear Blood Brothers.
Not this tour, yeah. As we are sort of getting into, this is sort of becoming the Iron Maiden standard where most of the songs from the previous album are rotated out of the set list to make room for the next song, which is good when we get our live albums as frequently as we do with Iron Maiden, where we get a live album from every tour. We get to have those songs captured for us to listen to. It's not as good for, say, an upcoming album where they didn't give us the live album from, and then we've only got one official live release. But anyway, I digress. Brave New World is a welcome return of the song, and Bruce sounds amazing here.
And then we're on to another new song, not from Rock in Rio, Passchendaele. Now, this song opens with 1 minute of gunfire and sound effects. And, you know, a lot of the time I find that kind of sound effect to be really corny. So it doesn't sound real to me, but this does. For whatever reason, maybe Kevin Shirley, I'm sure Kevin Shirley helped assist with some of these sound effects, but it sounds really good. It sounds really realistic. And then we have Bruce Dickinson reciting a poem.
This one is, I think, live.
Wilfred Owen, yeah, it does sound live. Wilfred Owen wrote this World War I poem, Anthem for Doomed Youth, and Bruce recites the opening line. What passing bells for those who die as cattle, only the monstrous anger of guns, only the stuttering rifles' rapid rattle. No mockeries for them from prayers or bells, nor any voice of mournings, save the choirs, the shrill, demented choirs of wailing shells. And then there's a big explosion, a big boom. And the song starts. Rapid fire at the end of us all. Chill-inducing live version of Passchendaele. Nico has these complex drum patterns that he has to play through this song, and he's just executing every bit of it perfectly. Adrian solo, spot on. I think, I don't know, that studio version of the song is so good, but this might be a definitive version because it has that Bruce reciting the poem at the beginning. This might be the definitive version of Passchendaele. Controversial take, Harrison?
All right, so as the DVD reveals, the reason for all this gunfire and sound effects is not just ambience and atmosphere, which it works very well at, but it's because the crew are coming out dressed as soldiers and bringing out barbed wire and bodies to decorate the set with. Because, as Rod said, well, we couldn't leave that up there all over the set. It just wouldn't make sense. It's a castle. Words to that effect. This is a great version. It's a little more electric than the studio version. There are still keys there, but they're sort of lower in the mix, and there isn't as much overt orchestration. So I would not say it's definitive, simply because I found the album mix of Passchendaele to be the perfect balance of electric and orchestral, but it's still a great, great version. Adrian says this was tough to do on stage, but it worked great live, and I agree. This is sort of like a centerpiece of this first disc. Bruce is dressed as a World War I soldier as well. He's got the helmet and the coat on, although he does take the helmet off on the end because it's got a chin strap and he needs to be able to really let loose. And you've got Steve on backing vocals for most of the song for certain parts, which you never got on the studio version. And Adrian comes in for the very end for the coming home far away part.
So do you think my argument holds water, though, that this version of Passchendaele, you could argue that it's the definitive one?
Oh, I certainly think wouldn't fault you if you felt that way. Just for me, I felt so strongly with all those extra mixes that the album mix was the perfect right amount of heavy electric and orchestration, that this sort of like slightly more electric version, the rock mix, if you will, of Passchendaele just slightly doesn't hit, is just slightly not as good.
And if you want more details on that, we exhaustively went through all of those mixes in our Dance of Death episode. So much so that I never want to think about all those different remixes again. Okay, moving on. We have a song here that I have a weird take on, and I'm just going to go ahead and talk about it. But it's Lord of the Flies, the very first live version of this Blaze Bayley track made available by Bruce, with Bruce singing, not on Rock in Rio. Weirdly, I find this to be the least satisfying of all the Blaze tracks remade. There's something about the rhythm that I don't, and this could be me because I'm not a musical genius. You know, I don't play an instrument. I have no sense of time, but there's something about the rhythm here that just doesn't sound right. It sounds like it kind of starts at one rhythm and then it changes to me. That opening guitar part, it sounds like it's playing in one tempo and then it changes. Could just be my ears, but it's always sounded that way to me ever since day one, where I thought, like, is this a mistake? Is this a misprinted CD? Maybe it is. But anyway, it doesn't sound right to me, and it seems that it happens at the beginning of the song and maybe a little bit at the end too. I'm not sure. But aside from that little, we're going to call it listener defect, aside from that, Bruce takes the chorus to a whole other level. He has, the saints and sinners, and then the next time around, it's full long saints and sinners, something within us. It's so awesome. It sounds like it was, it wasn't written for Bruce, but it sounds like this version of it was, because it accommodates that high part of his voice and emphasizes it, and just, it works. It works for that reason. So aside from my little rhythmic issue, I think that this is a smashing version of Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, this is an amazing inclusion to have this on here. This was the last Blaze Bayley track the band played on tour for a long time. It was the only time they played Lord of the Flies with Bruce. Now, this is a bit of a song of like two parts, because I'll admit Bruce does sound bored and uninteresting on the verses, but it's not really his fault. The song wasn't written for him. He's kind of just he's kind of just almost talking his way through the verses, but that's just because that's how they were written. They were written for Blaze. But I love what he does with the chorus. As Mike mentioned, he goes as high as possible, and he's really sinking his teeth into every damn word. This isn't something he just did as a token gesture. This sounds like something that he really tried to do his best on, and it sounds great, as much as I love the Blaze version. But I think my favorite part of this is on the DVD, watching the crowd singing along to the chorus, watching them whoa, whoa, whoa along at the end, like really getting into this Blaze Bayley track as much as they would any of the other tracks on this disc. And so ends what I consider to be sort of Act 1 of this live album, which coincides with the end of Disc 1. The set list becomes mostly just a lot more predictable and boring from this point forward.
Funny that you should say that, as we shall find out as I go through the notes. But we go with a strong start on disc 2 with No More Lies. Again, a new song, which wasn't on Rock in Rio. Amazingly, again, the crowd is singing along to the opening guitar melody. Like they just know these new songs already and they love them. It's a full power version, no complaints, and it doesn't drag despite its long length. That's all I have to say about No More Lies.
All right, No More Lies. Yes, heavier than the album version. Most of the Dance of Death tracks on here, either due to the production or how the guitar tone was decided, come across heavier than they do on the album version. This is a solid, if repetitive, version of No More Lies, as No More Lies tends to be.
Gotcha. Then we have Hallowed. It's earlier in the set than they played it on Rock in Rio, but it's just as good. At this point, it's hard to kind of differentiate between all the different versions. Like, just for a spoiler alert, in episode 28, we have a lot of different live versions, Hallowed being one of them. And we talk about...
I think you mean episode 29.
29. Episode 29, we talk about Hallowed again live, and it's really hard to start differentiating between these versions. All I can tell you is that Davy's portion of the guitar solo is a standout, and I like when Bruce says, "Scream for me, Dortmund." But we're starting to get to that point in the career, and this is going to be a problem going forward. We're hitting the point of the career where we're getting these songs for the 10th time, you know, or more, maybe. Hard to say. I've lost track of so many of these, but I think, Harrison, you probably agree with me on that.
Yes, they performance-wise, they do sort of blend into one another. Like, as you mentioned in episode 29, there's a version of Fear of the Dark where I'm like, it's a good version of Fear of the Dark. There's just nothing that unique about it compared to, say, other versions of Fear of the Dark. And I suppose that's fine, but, you know, I'd rather have a live version of Fear of the Dark than not, although, you know, then that gets into discussing, you know, what could we have got on in its place, sort of thing, blah, blah. Anyway, I digress. What's unique about this version of Hallowed Be Thy Name is there are 3 Scream for Me Dortmund. You see, normally Bruce says, "Scream for me, Long Beach Arena. Scream for me, Long Beach Arena, the flight of Icarus." But this time he's like, "Scream for me, Dortmund. Scream for me, Dortmund. Scream for me, Dortmund." So, and then... Yeah, there are 3 Scream for me's in this one. Yannick also has a ripping solo here, and it's one of the few times the camera actually stays still long enough, because it pretty much stays on Yannick for the whole time, so you can watch him go through his solo. And Bruce has this unreal long drawn out note at the very end where he just holds it for on and on and on.
Okay, so first of all, thank you, Harrison, for noting that Scream for Me Dortmund trio. I would like to point out, as the host of the show, that we are now at the point in Iron Maiden's history where we have to differentiate between songs by counting how many times Bruce says, "Scream for me." We've been doing this for over a year now, and it is going to get more difficult because there are a lot of live albums to come.
Although the B-sides immediately dry up after the next album, so we sort of have less to talk about.
We'll get there when we get there. Now, for the remainder of this live album, my notes are very, very sparse, so I'm going to rip through these songs and then let you guys talk. But Fear of the Dark, I made no notes. Iron Maiden, the only note that I made was Scream for Me Dortmund. I made no notes for The Number of the Beast and Run to the Hills, which closed the album, but I did make some notes for Journeyman, which comes presumably as the first encore. I'm guessing.
First encore.
Yeah. Okay. That's what it sounds like. I said it's a very brave song to play in that slot because it's so different. You know, it's very quiet, but the crowd is roaring along to those melodies again. The whoa at the beginning of the song, like they're locked in. They know every note. They love it. It's incredible to hear that with a new song by a classic metal band. And it warms the heart to me that Maiden get that kind of reaction from their audience. Bruce also tries to get them to sing along to the chorus. They're clearly familiar with it. And I just think this is a great song, a great version of a great song. And again, very brave to play it live, especially in this slot.
All right, Jex, I'll give you the floor if there's anything you want to say about Disc 2 before I go through, because I do have notes for all the songs.
No, I'm good.
Okay, so what I want to do next, aside from addressing Uncle Meat here, because it is Uncle Meat's episode coming up, episode 29, where we have to go through some more of these live versions. So he already had to hear about live versions of Fear of the Dark, which we recorded. Jex, now you have this physical copy. Let's take a look.
Well, hang on, I've got to go through this too, you know. If we're still talking about the songs.
Sorry, yes.
Fear of the Dark. Bruce is singing the intro a bit weird, I find, here. It's a bit different to the other version he's done it. But I have no complaints about the rest of the song, and the crowd is really singing along. It's not a South American crowd, it's a European crowd, but you can't tell the difference. You know, maybe Steve boosted them slightly in the mix, I don't know. But I have no complaints about
there.
Crowd participation.
It does sound like a South American crowd, 100%.
Except for maybe the accent that they sing the words in. But other than that, it's with as much passion and gusto as a normal South American crowd. Once again, maybe he boosted them in the mix, I don't know. But on my end, on the listener's end, it sounds great, the crowd participation. Iron Maiden, every second shot on the DVD is Yannick tossing his guitar around, catching it and playing. And he manages to do it so seamlessly. He like tosses it around him, catches it, and starts playing without missing a single note. Every second shot is him doing this and like twirling it and everything. Now, the big Eddie at the back is this Grim Reaper that sort of, hangs around the back and points. I think this is a great latter-day version of the song. Iron Maiden Journeyman, the first encore. It's a beautiful moment, and it's a very unique moment in Iron Maiden's history, and it honestly makes me wish they did this sort of thing more often. The crowd is passionately singing along to the chorus and the whoa part as well. And funny, in the behind the scenes documentary, Nico goes takes a bit of the Mickey out of Steve by calling him, Steve, well, I'm not sitting down on stage, Harris. The number of the beast. So we get a walk-on Grim Reaper Eddie here. Now, here's the interesting thing. So the big backstage Grim Reaper Eddie had blue glowing eyes. And the walk-on Grim Reaper Eddie has red glowing eyes. And lastly, Run to the Hills. I didn't actually make notes for Run to the Hills other than like it's a fine version. I have nothing else to say, really.
Dan. Okay, well, at least Henry found it funny. Okay, so I apologize for cutting you off, Harrison, but Jex, I do want to see this DVD that I've never really seen in person.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to compare between mine and Harrison's, because I know his has a plastic case. Mine's like a...
Okay, so why don't we do this? Why don't we get you to hold yours up, and Harrison, you hold yours up, and we can see if there's any really observable differences. And I can see Jex's is a bit wider as far as the artwork goes. You get a little bit more off to the side, just slightly. That's, I guess.
But wait,
we should have the same content.
Oh, I really like
see, because his is a slip case. His DVD, you get the full art on. I don't. Maybe I've got that on.
Jex, just hold on. Can you go back to that? We're just going to give people.
Oh, my booklet doesn't actually have that.
There we go. Okay, so look at that. That is cool. That is exclusive to the DVD version that Jex has. And then Harrison's looks like this.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, you've got text on the back. Although, for me, the value of getting a plastic case is far more important because it matches every other Iron Maiden DVD I have.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Right.
Does that remind you, just the overall motif and coloring and look of it, does it remind you of anything? Maybe
reminds me of intestines and guts.
I was going to say, yes, that, or brains, because that's a common Iron Maiden motif. But I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of Dio, Lock Up the Wolves.
Oh, yeah, the colors are very similar, yeah.
Yep, and, the horses versus the wolves pulling the carriage. I think Dio had probably Murray in the back of the carriage. I can't remember. But I just think there's a similarity there to Lock Up the Wolves by Dio.
Good comparison.
Uncle Meat says, good to see you, Jex.
Hey, Uncle Meat.
Everybody loves the Meat Man. By the way, the Meat Man will be back on episode 29. Anything else interesting in there, Jex, that we can take a look at on your version?
Yeah, so this is, as you saw, it folds. Oh, it folds even more.
Whoa!
I just realized.
Whoa!
Look at all that unused space.
Right?
It's like a Marvel trailer with all of the characters digitally removed.
Well, guys, this is how we used to watch TV as kids.
Yeah,
And then
there we go. Widescreen.
And then flip it around. So I believe, Harrison, you also have the 3 discs.
I do have the 3 discs, but I have less of the sort of photoing behind them.
So you've got 2 discs that look like wheels and one with Eddie riding the carriage.
Yeah.
And Harrison,
I love the wagon wheel motif of this album because it carries over to Death, the audio version as well. You get this cool flaming wagon wheel motif.
And here's how they're labeled.
Mine are pink. Mine's pink, pink and blue, and yours is
orange, and red. And interestingly, Harrison, does yours have copyright control on it? Yes, it does.
It does, yes, and I've got it here too. Mine was more than likely an Australian pressing because I bought this in Australia.
I would love a viewer comment on this if anybody knows. But when I first bought this and Dance of Death, they would indeed not play on my computer unless I had you had to download a specific piece of software that would play it. You couldn't just play it in Windows Media, for example. Now that is no longer true. I can pop this in and Windows Media plays it no problem. So obviously,
don't get me started on Windows Media Player. About a month ago, it stopped auto-filling metadata.
Yeah,
we've had this conversation.
I have a stack of CDs waiting to be ripped, and I'm like, come on, guys, get your shit together.
You mean I have to type this shit myself?
And Grant, send me a message. Send me a message. You got an idea? Let's do it, man. Let's get on here. What else? Yeah, I have a region-free DVD player, but not a Blu-ray player. What I was going to say was, I know for a fact that this copyright control stuff used to work because it would not play except for that in that proprietary software in any computer. But now it's fine. So obviously something changed. I don't know if anybody knows why, but anything copyright controlled 20 years ago is perfectly fine now. Yeah, this is the problem. I'm not using iTunes to rip CDs, but I do have to type everything in manually. Okay, Grant is
the DVD does have a lot of bonus features, some of which are really cool.
Well, that's what I want to get into. But first, I want to show how they're labeled. So the wagon wheels here, stereo only. But here's the important 5.1 Dolby Digital. Important.
Or is that the stereo info? And is that the 5.1, or is it the other way around?
Did any of those ever get sold? I don't know. Maybe they realized the mistake at the factory.
Hold on. Lights. Okay. And here's the booklet, which I'm assuming is the same as Harrison's.
No, my booklet's different.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
My booklet has the sort of cover art on the front, and on the back it's just black like yours.
Oh.
Okay, Harrison, let's take a look at yours.
Yeah. Oh,
mine's got the cover art on the front, and I don't have that Grim Reaper picture on the inside sleeve of mine because my inside sleeve is the not 3-panel version.
Gotcha.
So I noticed there's
there's Flight 666 in the back. There. Spoilers.
I noticed there's a lot of Grant worship going on here. I see, but I will acknowledge for sure Grant is the hardest working man in the music talk business, and he has an interview with I can't remember the guy's name, but from the band 707. He's got an interview coming up on the Rock Warehouse, so check that out on the Rock Warehouse. And yes, and I am proud to say that I'm the one who brought Angie Moon into this YouTube community. Jex Russell and I hosted the first community interview with Angie Moon. So that's me.
Now, don't forget the CanCon rule. 40% of all praise must be for the actual show hosts themselves.
Oh, Harrison. Jex, anything else you want to show us on that DVD?
As far as packaging goes, that's pretty much it. Now, I'd like to go through the features and compare. Again, I'm assuming that Harrison's...
we'll have the same bonus features, yeah. I made extensive notes on them, so I can't wait to get into them.
All right, so let's go Item number 1, Death on the Road documentary with a running time of 75 minutes. Anything you want to add on that?
This is a great behind the scenes look at the recording of Dance Over Death, because that's included as well. It's not just the Death on the Road, it's also the recording of Dance of Death and then the ensuing tour. I have a long list of all my favorite bits here. I don't know, Jex, if you have some for this behind the scenes, or shall I just rattle them off?
You go ahead.
So Nico wrote New Frontier on bass from Dance of Death, and the guy said, well, he plays bass really well, actually. And then they said, oh, he plays a lot like Steve, actually. Figures. Now, there's a bit about the band's wedges on tour. So Steve has no guitar, as in his feedback wedges. Steve has no guitar. He's just got drums and a bit of vocals because he likes to lock in on the rhythm section. Bruce's are designed to not move when feet are placed on them, so he can stand on them or run up against them. And the crew who's telling you about this, he does this sort of like comical Bruce run up and around them, and the cameraman laughs. Dave's have this worn down groove in them from 20 years of rubbing his guitar along them. And Adrian's a fake. He uses in-ear monitors. One of the crew makes a joke about the stage Grim Reapers, the two that are in the back. They were meant to be 18 inches tall, but they came out 18 feet. The band has not done a sound check since 1983. That's what the techs are for, and they trust their techs to get the sound right. Steve makes a joke about how Bruce thinks that everything he writes comes from his dreams. And Adrian actually says that Prodigal Son, when they're talking about Journeyman, he says Prodigal Son is one of their favorite that they've done. He says it's really melodic. Yeah, and that's all my notes for this behind the scenes bit.
Right. Are some of the band members on the making of as shy as they were with the Canadian camera crew for Flight 666?
No, most of the band members only appear actually fairly rarely in the behind the scenes. I mean, like they do appear more in the recording section, but on the tour it's mainly crew that is being interviewed. Yannick's, his usual self, but they all appear and they all talk.
So just to address Uncle Meat, if I put my camera out the window here, you would just see like a wall of snow, and that's what he's referring to, is that we got hammered here locally. Uncle Meat and I live in the same town, and we're getting another 20 centimeters on Sunday. So this is what you call an indoor weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be like in the minus 30s for us this weekend. So staying indoors too.
It's going to be in the high 30s for us this weekend, which is also what you call an indoor weekend.
For different reasons. I don't really have a lot left to say about Dance of Death or Death.
Well, we do have more bonus features. You're in luck.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Life on the Road documentary running at 45 minutes, which is behind the scenes.
This one is this one is crew focused. There is a bit of overlap between this and the Death on the Road documentary, but there's a lot of extra stuff. Some of my favorite bits from this are that the crew are hilarious and they're a joy to watch. You actually get to hear some isolated Passchendaele keyboard parts from Michael Kenny as he sort of goes through like the bits that he does on the keyboard, which is really cool because you don't often get to hear those isolated. And it's also revealed from one of the sound guys that they recorded every night of the tour, so that no matter what they in 36 tracks, so no matter what video they shot, they would have full audio of it. Now, I think it's fair to say that going forward, it's reasonable to assume that they simply just record every date of every tour. So I think it's fairly safe to assume that they have, from the 2010 leg of the Final Frontier tour, they have all of that recorded. I think it's fair to say from this point forward, we know that their archives are pretty much, I think we can assume that they're exhaustive in terms of the shows that they've played, which means that, when they do have to retire and put out deluxe editions, I think we could be in for some real treats.
Awesome.
Right. The next feature is focused on the fans, running at 30 minutes.
Yeah. This one's, I think, just interviews with fans. I didn't give this one as much time, I must admit.
I hate those kind of bonus features because who the hell wants to hear what fans have to say?
Next one, EPK at 15 minutes. The original press interviews.
Yeah, EPK stands for Electronic Press Kit.
Oh, which, right.
Back in the olden days, back in late 90s, early 2000s, they used to be like a promo CD that you would pop into your computer and a little like QuickTime video would play. You might get a photo gallery, you might get some text, but that's what EPK is, electronic press kit.
This is a fun little interview with the band. Some of the footage does appear in the Death on the Road documentary. I'll speak of you in that one. You also get to hear some isolated vocal performances of Bruce doing Montsegur,
which I love. Well, isolated vocal performances from him.
Nice. Then you got a couple of promo videos, Wildest Dreams and Rainmaker.
Important because we are now in the era where we have passed Visions of the Beast, so you can only get these on sort of these bonus feature things. Wildest Dreams is the animated version. Rainmaker is the one with half-naked people gyrating around in the mud while the band play on this really desaturated, everything's really desaturated and grayish.
Half-naked people in the mud, you say?
Yes. Some of them are wearing feathers.
Okay, and then you got some photo and artwork galleries, promotional photos, artwork.
Hey, Jex, don't watch that
stills
one
gallery.
with the kids. Don't watch that
No.
one with the kids.
A stills gallery of the Rainmaker video behind the scenes is one of the things they have in there. And yeah, that basically wraps it up, I think, for the bonus features. The documentaries are the more interesting stuff, at least for me.
Thanks, Grant. And I'm here. I came on tonight. I was like, oh, a bad hair day. Thanks, man.
Grant is doing better Jex suck ups than Roger does. That's amazing.
That's a first.
So is that it for the bonus features?
I do believe so.
Okay.
But I'll give Jex the final word if I missed anything.
Do you want a final word, Jex? That's not about your hair, because that seems to be what the comments are just about your hair at this point. Would you have any Iron Maiden comments to make at this point?
Well, I will say that I'm thank you for having me on for this live show. I know I didn't have a lot to bring. I didn't have time to prepare all that much. Been busy at work, but it's appropriate because I will be seeing Maiden in the flesh next September in Montreal with Marty. I don't know if Marty's still watching. He was here earlier. Marty and Pla and myself. There you go. There he is. So we're gonna be seeing Maiden with Megadeth and Anthrax in Montreal. So
That's a blast from the past. I'm pretty sure they've toured with them before.
Yeah,
I feel like they have. And it's funny because I was like, oh man, I'm really excited for Anthrax. I'm excited for all of them, obviously, but Anthrax has been a favorite of mine. And then come to find out, Anthrax is coming here, where I live, in March, also with Megadeth, but with Exodus. So I'm like, ooh, they're so close. I could save myself that 10 to 12 hour drive, but I'm like, no Maiden. So we're gonna go to Montreal because that's a bucket list for me. So yeah, looking forward to it.
So I know Tim Derling usually likes to get any like live coverage that he can get for his channel, but can I snag you to get like the exclusive Maiden coverage when you go see that show? You can come back and get the exclusive coverage here on my channel.
Sure.
Awesome. Right. So
problem is Tim doesn't watch this, so he'll just assume he never saw it and dibs Jex on his own.
All right. Well, Jex, I just want to thank you so much for doing this, even if I did kind of put you under the gun a little bit there. But obviously, I didn't want to do this without you because you are the guy who has that cool copy. Now, I don't know if we can talk about this, but I know you have other shows coming up.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. You were recording one last week. I wanted to book you last week, and you couldn't because you were recording with somebody else.
Oh, yeah, that didn't happen. We had to reschedule. We haven't set a date yet, but yeah, that didn't. It didn't work out the night that we planned, so that's for another time.
Okay. So we will see Jex on another channel at another time, but we're going to keep it under wraps from now. We have Jake, not from State Farm. Thank you, buddy. You stay warm too, and you stay good. I'll be checking in with you. Jake, not from State Farm, did some of our great Blaze Bailey episodes, and Megadeth is better without Maiden. And I'm
I
sure
assume he
he is.
means they're better in a headline slot. Than
Yes, I
a
know that.
support.
Yeah. And I'm sure Jake, I'll be talking to him about the new Megadeth album that dropped today, the final Megadeth album that dropped today. I'm sure Jake has a lot of opinions about that. And Henry too. And Henry too. Now, I'm not sure what we're doing next week at this point.
I know what we're doing right now, and that is giving our final thoughts on Death on the Road.
That's right. I am going to give this album, you know what? I've been thinking about it. I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 or 7 out of 10. It's not as good as Rock in Rio. I think there's something about the production. It's just not as crisp.
Interesting. I thought the production was better because, on Rock in Rio, we had those weird sounds going on underneath Bruce on some other songs, So, yeah.
True.
I think this is an awesome live album, despite the second half being, the predictable, semi-stale Maiden hits at this point. They are all done very well, those songs. This is my preferred way to experience Dance of Death. I like my Iron Maiden Dance of Death flavored, as opposed to, say, the whole full long Dance of Death with a few songs I'm not entirely keen on. I'd give it a 4.5 stars. I actually really came to appreciate this live album more than I did before. I would, however, give the DVD only a 4 out of 5 stars. The extra content is nice, but the cutting and the fact that you don't get a good look at what's going on stage and the awesome stage itself really dragged the score down for me.
Okay. That's fair. Jex, going by memory, do you have anything could you rate this? Just going by memory alone.
Well, like I said, I remember it sounding amazing.
Yeah.
So going by memory, I'd probably give it about a 3.5, maybe even a 4, like Harrison.
Okay. Good workout music though.
Oh yes.
Unless it's Journeyman.
You don't want to work out to Journeyman.
No.
All right. Well, Harrison and I have to discuss what we are doing next week because I just looked at the schedule and I don't think I have anything planned for next week yet.
We could always run Matter of Life and Death.
No, because we have a bonus episode that comes before that, which is we are doing a bonus episode of 3 reissued Maiden singles with new B-sides. And maybe we'll run that next Friday, even though it's a bonus episode. It's a little bit shorter than the usual, but we'll discuss that and let you folks know. Just please watch Grab a Stack of Rock. That's all we want. That's all we want you to do. Just hang in with us. Sometimes we're covering Maiden, sometimes we're covering Concrete Blonde, and sometimes we're covering Concrete Blonde when you expected Iron Maiden. But
don't make Mike beg. Just watch the show, please.
Just watch the show. And thank you, Grant and Roger, and even Sydney and Dan, and all of my wonderful friends, Jake, and of course, Henry. We give Henry a shout out actually in episode 29. But as always,
Except he won't be there to hear it.
No, he won't be. That's right. He won't be. It's past his bedtime when that part. It's a long episode, is what I'm saying. It's a long episode.
All the B-sides.
All the B-sides. Yeah, you know what? Let's just quickly address what we've got coming up instead of being cagey about it. We do have a bonus episode. It's going to be 3 singles that Maiden released roughly all around this era in between some of these albums that we've covered. They are The Trooper. They are The Number of the Beast and Run to the Hills, all reissued with brand new B-sides. We're going to
as well as the Run to the Hills live charity single, which we've lumped in with these as well.
We are going to go over all of this stuff in a detailed bonus episode that we may run as an episode. We also have already recorded A Matter of Life and Death with Uncle Meat, which is the longest episode to date at 1 hour, 38 minutes. It has extensive coverage of a crazy amount of Iron Maiden B-sides, which I called, what did I call it? The most annoying collection of Maiden B-sides ever, because they are scattered through all these releases, far more confusing than any other album that we've covered before. And then after that, it's kind of a drought. There's really only one single, an RSD single, that had a B-side of any kind after this. So we go from these incredibly long 1 hour, 38 minute episodes to I don't know what's going to come next, because they're going to be shorter. They don't have these B-sides, and that will be interesting. So, good night, Marty. Grab a Stack of Rock forever. Henry will still look forward to it. Henry will try watching Grab in the dark, but it's hard on the eyes and the brain. Well, we appreciate that, Henry, but do not damage your eyes or brain because of us. We don't want that. So thank you, folks, for watching Grab a Stack of Rock. We will be back next week with something. And Jex will be on another channel real soon with something. And he'll be back here as well because we've talked about other topics. That Jex wants to do more music, and we will do more music. We will oblige. So, Jex, do you want to pick the song that we go out on, or do we want to let Harrison pick?
I pick all the time.
Well, and I don't know what you got. I can never remember the titles. Or
well, in that case, we're gonna go with a song that I'm pretty sure we all like, which is a song called "God's on the Radio" by Max the Axe. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next. We'll see you next week. Oh, and one more thing. If I seem like I was a little bit out of it today, it's because I've had 2 hours sleep. I just wanted that to be known at the end of the show. I'm struggling here, folks. This is God's on the Radio, Max the Axe. We will see you next week when I've had a lot more sleep. Take care, everybody.
Fuck off. God's on the radio. You got Buddha on the audio. Scott Bale on the telephone. Dan Rather at the studio and putting all the knowledge in the same game. Mark on the stereo. You got rum in your Cheerio. Lift up from the get-go. Grab another spoon. It's the most important meal of the day. You gotta. You gotta. You gotta. You gotta turn it up. You gotta turn it up. You gotta turn it up. You gotta turn it up God's on the radio with the world in his video. Phil Collins in the studio. Phil Collins in the studio. Mark on the stereo. You got Drambuie in your Cheerio. No better way to let it go. Grab another spoon. It's the most important meal of the day. You gotta. You gotta. You gotta. You gotta turn it up. You gotta turn it up. You gotta turn it up. You gotta turn it up louder. You gotta. I gotta. We gotta. Don't you know we gotta?
Friday night, we're rocking the races. Come and see familiar faces. Uncle Meat, Rob Daniels, Jon Snow. Gibby's here, it's the place to go. Grab a star of rock with Mike and the band, Metal Man. Grab a star of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. T-Bone's here, it's time for a party. Come and see, got the comment started. Grab a star of rock with Mike and the band, Metal Man. stack of rock with Mike and the Bad Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock. Grab a stack